Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages. We're here to talk about something very important, something very specific has happened. And of course, people everywhere are making a big deal about it because it is very important. It is very important that you know that this happened. So let's get into the fact that Dragonflight did not sell as many copies as Shadowlands in its first quarter. So here we can see the Blizzard earnings call. Again, I don't use, one second. There we go. I don't use Wowhead because I don't like Wowhead. Wowhead's stupid. It's like 90% ads. So the earnings results, we're just going to essentially cover World of Warcraft. The early Dragonflight sales have not reached the level of the prior expansion. Now, it's very important to keep in mind why that might be. For one, Shadowlands did sell 10 million copies, but BFA had a lot of people quit, right? Not near as many as quit Shadowlands. Shadowlands had a lot of reasons why people left, between the Chinese thing and the argument with Blizzard thing and the whole lawsuit thing. Multiple reasons why people left. And those people just didn't come back. And it says community feedback on the title has been positive because it has. Dragonflight is quite possibly the best expansion that we have had since Mist of Pandaria. I know some people will be like, Dragonflight sucks, nah. You're wrong. I'm not even going to argue. You're wrong. Post-launch subscriber retention in the West is higher than recent expansions. Now, I want to keep in mind, it says expansions. Multiple, meaning we are counting at least BFA. Why is this important? Well, I'm going to kind of get into this here in a second in talking about the difference between Dragonflight and BFA, Shadowlands, so on and so forth, right? And it's very important that we have to keep in mind there is a big difference between these three expansions and their content, right? Their content. So let's get into it a little bit. Now, I am skipping other stuff like Arclight Rumble. Nobody cares. Year-over-year growth. Cool. Right? We didn't experience a dip compared to last year, which I think that's the really important part, right? That's the really important part. Because even though Shadowlands sold more copies, we're finding that more people are staying engaged, growth and reach, blah, 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 over these last few months compared to last time, right? So when last time had Shadowlands and I think TBC, maybe, or whatever that was, we had Wrath of the Lich King and Dragonflight. And Dragonflight's still going strong. You will see a lot of streamers and a lot of YouTubers being like, oh, I'm playing the game more casually now. Because you can. Right? Is that a good thing? Who knows? Highest quarterly net bookings to date, driven by strong growth of Warcraft and reinvigoration of Overwatch and Diablo. Yeah, sure. First quarter will see significant development in marketing time. Blizzard segment revenue, blah, 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 grew strongly year over year. 45 million active users, up from 31 million. That is almost a 50% increase. Game development teams grew 25%. Activision increased represent. I don't care about this one. I don't care. And some people will be like, oh, you don't care because you're unaffected. Exactly. I don't care. Like, you know what? Good for them. Personally, I'm not affected by it. So I don't care. Representation for... God damn it. Alternative ways to serve the community in China. So for those of you who don't know, Blizzard is single-handedly responsible for Chinese players no longer being able to play the game. The Chinese company that hosted the servers was like, hey, we can do it this way, we can do it that way. They were trying. Blizzard told them to fuck off, and this company is very vocal about disagreeing. They have done many, many things. Now, we're going to take a look at Shadowlands and BFA around this point in their style, right? So we're going to look up if there was any 0.0.5 patches, right? Lo and behold, there was no 8.0.5, so we're just going to go off of 8.1, which I feel like we shouldn't do, but we're gonna go over some of the things that they had. So they had faction assaults. Do you know what faction assaults are? They are essentially elemental storms. Pet Battle Dungeon, which Heritage Armor, which we're getting in 0.0.7. We don't have right now though, so they did have Heritage Armor. New Island Expeditions, we're kind of getting that. So if I'm just gonna compare all of these to what we're getting in the 0.7. New chapters in the war campaign, we're getting that. Siege of Borealis and everything on heroic difficulty. We do not have any mythic only dungeons. Mythic keystones can no longer be deleted. That was a terrible change. 100 exalted reputations added. So new reputation and new mount. Account bound maps to unlock flight points. That's really good. Azerite gear vendor, which is something that should have been added earlier, honestly. 5th tier of new traits. It's fine. Reaching friendly honored now unlocks the appropriate quests for all characters on your account. New heirlooms. Paragon reputation added for all facts. Listen. The fact that that wasn't in from the very beginning is a sad fact. Very sad fact. That was awful. I don't know why Blizzard had to relearn how to do that constantly. They did a nerf of leveling by about 25%. They added the pending summons icon? Okay. So that's interesting. So now we can go back. We'll go back to patches. World of Warcraft patches. Was this not updated? Oh my god, this WoW wiki just... Okay. Let's look up the 9.0 patch notes. Here we go. We're getting some updates in actual 0.5 patch, right? Actual 0.5 patch. So we've got the adventurers buffed up. Undead cloaks will now be as tattered as the Forsaken wearing them. Yes. Class changes. Which, I mean, everyone... You guys remember... You guys remember when Windwalkers were in patch notes? I remember. Covenants, the abilities... It's been redesigned. Oh, sorry. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Soulbinds were fixed. Animal Conductor was fixed. Night Fae, the Covenant stuff there was fixed. Oh, the Ember Court. The Ember Court. You guys remember the Ember Court? Well, a lot of you probably won't if you weren't Venthyr. It was the only thing outside of the little soul shapes to constantly get updated. Carrion saw 0 updates in any of the patches, and it's really fucking sad. Dungeons and raids, there's tuning there. Ooh. Items and rewards. The Wandering Ancient is now available. I remember that. Don't know why people voted for that over a book, but okay. You can now upgrade gear with Valor. Completing a keystone after the timer has ended will now reward a second item. The item will be slightly lower than the finished thing, but whatever. Great Vault loot requirements are now low enough that you don't need to fully clear the entire castle. Ooh, actually, how many bosses were in Castle Nathria? So the One Wing had 3 bosses, which was Sludge, Screech, and Stone. Then you had the one dude, the chick, and Huntsman. Then you had Court, Kael'thas, and Cymox. Yeah. And yeah, okay, so there were 10. Okay, so they lowered that to not having to fully rate it. They made it to where you can get potency conduits from the raid. That's great. Their form of current capping renown was just 1,500 gold. Maximum amount of souls. Rhinestone sunglasses can now appear. Items below 75. Oh, that was a nerf. Rune carving legendary items. I think they added new ones. I'm not too sure here. PvP changes. The Maw. This. Oh, dude, I remember this. What? Oh, walking up and down the chains. And nerfing a hunt. They changed some stuff about Torghast. Then the WoW Companion app. Okay. So that's what we got. That looks like a lot, right? It looks like a lot, but when you break it down to class changes and everything, it's still around what we did in 8.0.5, right? Let's check out 10. So I'm going to kind of quick shoot through this because I don't really want to spend too much time. 10.0.5, you get the trading post, which is great. Storm's Fury event, which is mid. New achievements. New character change, you can mess around with your character a little bit. Of course, class changes, creature NPC changes, slight dragon riding changes, new holiday changes. You're going to be able to get more transmog stuff. Let's go to items and reward. They fixed an issue with group loot. The revival catalyst was introduced. The fact that it wasn't in at launch was really stupid, though. You can now transmog white and gray items. You can now apply enchant illusions to artifact weapons, which I might need to try out. New toy. New character starter equipment can be found. Pole arms for Shadowlands and Dragonflight. Fixed an issue, fixed an issue, fixed an issue, fixed an issue, adjusted. The appearance, War Mode and Primal Storm. Oh, they changed where you can upgrade things. Not really much. Mage Tower is back. I think it's back for good. PvP changes for War Mode. I clicked on something. Yes, okay. Profession changes. All profession, like the requirements have been lowered, which I think is amazing. They fixed some of the problems with overloading, but they also kind of ruined it. They have removed a requirement to have certain stuff for like transmog gear, which is fine. They've brought back a lot of stuff. The crafting changes have made it to where, hey, it's a bit easier for you to craft stuff. It's a bit easier to do the weekly things. And you can now move your bags and all that fun stuff. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, we have to get into this. In terms of content, what did we get, right? It was released in November, so we've had the new patch for a few weeks, right? Yeah, we've had the new patch for a few weeks, so we'll say 2 months? 2 months? Compared to the other expansions 2 months in, one, it's definitely better than Shadowlands. The changes are so much more. Right? You'd have to compare it to 9.1 in order to see anything. And again, 8.1 was kind of that experience. 8.1 had a lot of the changes that we are currently seeing in 10.0.5. So compared to the previous expansions, I can see why people are staying. There's also no big controversy covering this expansion, right? And I'll kind of make a little graph thing to show what I mean. So this is essentially what we're going to be talking about next time, right? These are all of the big complaints or big controversies that each expansion has faced, and I feel like we can give these a rating, right? Azerite armor moving from legendaries to Azerite armor, we'll say it was a 5 out of 10 on the controversy scale. Time gating, we'll say it was a 6 out of 10 because you really needed to grind. And AP, easily, like, that was a huge thing. The only way to get it was from islands, so we'll say an 8 out of 10 because that was the big thing. That was the big thing, right? Covenant lock, 10 out of 10. This was criticized from its inception. Time gating, 6 out of 10 because you couldn't skip it. Chorgast, we'll give it a 6 out of 10. Dragonflight group loot, it was, I'm going to be honest here, probably about a 6 out of 10 because a lot of people who were complaining about it didn't understand how it worked, and once it started, people were like, no, it shouldn't be an LFR, which I kind of agree, it shouldn't be an LFR. The Renown grind, a lot of people did the Renown. A lot of people still grind Renown, which I think is stupid, but we'll go for Renown. We'll say 7 out of 10, right? I mean, it's obviously not that bad, but we'll say 7 out of 10. Okay, this is it. This is the big complaints for each expansion. In the next video, we will kind of break down what they are and why they're a big deal.